It's the late night hype. Y'all be up all night, my Cowboys fan.
I know. Yeah.
Team no sleep.
Morning doing shows.
Cool.
Y'all go ham.
All right, so we are live, and we are going to be talking a little bit of Cowboys. I know we've already been talking for a while, super late start while we dealt with some technical stuff. But we're talking Cowboys 31, Redskins 21, and how sweet it is to be 2-0 and atop the NFC East in sole possession of first place. James, my Cowboys family, how you guys all doing tonight?
Doing great. Cowboys won.
Yes,
2-0, baby. Let's go Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
Man, this was a really big game, I felt like, for the team because yeah, it's a divisional game, but it's another game that they were going into, and you have to take care of business in this case. It's not just a divisional game. It's also the sense of after week one, everybody was hyping up this team, so you really needed to see them come out strong and actually back it up and actually perform. And despite a little bit of a slow start for the offense and even kind of Dak a little bit, once they clicked into gear, it was as if they didn't miss a beat from that Giants game. Another 5 straight scoring possessions in that. What were your guys' kind of early thoughts in that?
Go ahead, y'all.
Well,
I mean, for me, one of the biggest takeaways from this game is the fact that, week 1 and week 2, we saw a slow start to this team on offense and defense. So hopefully we clean that up a little bit, just because, again, against better teams, we can't really afford a slow start. But honestly, offensively, not much to really say. Other than that one tip pass that ended up as an interception, our offense played a fantastic game, clean game, just across the board, top to bottom. Obviously, on defense, there's still a few things to clean up, but I feel like a lot of that is still just kind of knocking off rust from having so many major pieces starting the season, basically with no training camp, no preseason, no time, just coming off of injuries. So to me, I'll be keeping an eye on that. But, this is an NFC East rival that, not only is it one of our most hated teams, but we've gone 6-1 on them now.
Yep.
Which, that to me is amazing. I think that this is just a team that only has up to go.
I love what Dak's been doing. I think Kellen Moore, we've talked about him so much and what he's been doing out there. You see it again against the Redskins. The schemes are out there. They're fantastic. And Dak's ability to read the defense and understand these schemes that Kellen Moore has presented. This to me is the key I'm watching to continue throughout the season to the playoffs, to the Super Bowl. Seriously, no joke for number 6.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
James?
I was just bouncing off that. I'm really not surprised by this. I was really excited about the Kellen Moore hire. I felt like he was going to be able to do this. I felt like John Kitna was going to be the guy that was going to help Dak Prescott get his mechanics right. I just felt like those were 2 good people that they put in the right positions. Kellen Moore as offensive coordinator, John Kitna as the quarterbacks coach. And I feel like that's what Dak was. That was the last piece that he needed. I feel like you already seen him go through the war, go through the battles with Linehan, and wasn't really getting that. I feel like that personal teaching with Linehan was kind of like, this is how we're going to do it, and this is why it is. And Dak was the good soldier. And you still saw very respectable numbers in those 3 years. I was clamoring, like, can we get that coach to kind of get him and coach him up and get him to get those mechanics all the way together? Because I felt like if we saw him get those mechanics together, you were going to see the bomb Dak Prescott. And guess what? Mechanics are looking good. He's been consistent with his throws every single time. And look at him. 7 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, 82% completion rate. That is phenomenal. And guess what? 400-yard game. 4 touchdowns, 3 touchdown game, and really that interception that came off Cobb's hand, I really don't think that was his fault. And he just looks like he's commanding the offense. And yes, we the defense has been a little uneven, but the beautiful thing was last year the defense was carrying the offense. So it's a good thing that the offense is carrying the defense. And then eventually I feel like that defense is going to come together. And then when both of those guys are working on cylinders like that, we're going to be impossible to stop.
Yeah, for sure. And, I noticed, we talked about Dak having a little bit of a slow start in this game with the interception, his first interception he's ever thrown against the Redskins, apparently, which was kind of incredible to hear that as well. Just, going into his 4th year, you assume odds are he probably would have had it happen at some point. Apparently not. So that was pretty cool. But we kind of saw it in week 1 against the Giants, too, to a degree, with a little bit of a slow start while he was still completing passes and, he hits like Blake Jarwin for the touchdown. the accuracy early in week 1 was a little off too. Like that Jarwin catch, it's a little bit of a floated pass, a little behind him, but he's so open it doesn't matter. But then after about a quarter, you saw him really dial in, and then he was just throwing darts the rest of the game, really. And that's kind of what we saw here as well. You know, like with the tipped pass, the timing's a little off. It's a little behind Cobb off his hands. But after that, after they got settled, and it took until the second touchdown came like 20 seconds before half. Once he got settled in, he was lights out the rest of the way. In fact, I think I made a note that he did not have an incomplete pass in the second half. Do you know if that's accurate? If he had it, it was like 1.
Yeah,
he was 18 for 18.
He was 14 for 14 in the second half. He was 18 completed in a row.
Yeah.
Consecutive.
Which is a career high consecutive as well for him. So, yeah, I mean, lights out. And that has everything to do with John Kitna and as well with Kellen Moore. It's not just the scheming guys open. You know, when you have a guy who you ask so often throughout his career up until now to make these tight window throws, it's kind of like you've almost in a way been grooming him the hard way for this. Now all of a sudden he has more space than he almost knows what to do with because you're actually scheming guys open. And I don't like when people try to undermine it where they'll say, well, hey, anyone could hit that pass. Josh Norman trying to undersell Dak going into the game, his Giants performance, like, oh, anyone can do that. Well, it didn't stop him from lighting you up the same way, stiff-arming you into oblivion, and dropping a dime 51 yards down the field to Devin Smith on your ass. So it's one of those things, man, where it's like, first of all, when was it ever a bad thing to scheme your quarterback into getting some simple throws? I don't care if you're Tom Brady or Drew Brees or Aaron Rodgers. If you can scheme an easy pitch and catch with your quarterback for a significant gain, you're going to do it every single time.
Hey, I like I said, I'm excited because, you know, like I said, we were talking off air. My Cowboys family having great talks about Dak Prescott, but, you know, just the biggest thing was, like I said before, this team is going as Dak goes. That's just flat out. We love Ezekiel Elliott. He's got his money, and Ezekiel Elliott is a dog, and we understand that. We're not taking nothing away from Ezekiel Elliott. But this team, it goes out, Dak Prescott goes. As long as Dak Prescott keep on playing like that and balling like he is, that gives us a fighting chance every single game. We are never going to be out of a game as long as Dak Prescott plays like that. Then you got a running back like that can change the game at any point, and then you can bring a rookie like they did in the second half with Tony Pollard. I love the mix and matching what Kellen Moore is doing. He always is keeping the defense off balance, and that's what he said in the very beginning. He said, we're not going to be running all kind of crazy different type of offense, but what we are going to do, we're going to keep the defense off balance. We're never going to want the defense to get a bite on what we're going to do. And you're seeing that in the play calling. He's doing the pre-read, the pre-read sets, sending guys in motion, things that we were clamoring for forever. It's like we're just now catching up with the league, and we had the talent to be as good as the league, and we're just now catching up with the play calling, and everybody is refreshed because it's like finally we're seeing what we can really do with this offense, and it's just an exciting thing. 30 points, 2 straight games, and it doesn't matter if it's the Giants or the Redskins. That's what you're supposed to do with teams that are not good. You're supposed to demolish them and put them out the way. And so this needs to carry on against this Miami game. I don't want Miami to have no kind of hope with nothing. So we have to really destroy them as well. And then, you know, look forward to our harder part of the schedule. But I love the first 2 games. I love what Kellen Moore is doing. And I just love the attitude of the team. I love the camaraderie as well.
Yeah,
no,
absolutely. And I think you made a point earlier, my Cowboys family, about how the defense is kind of like going through more or less their preseason here because you had a bunch of guys either coming back from injury or just not participating in camp. The defense hasn't looked like itself. Thankfully, the offense has made sure it doesn't really matter. It's kind of misleading because, like, yeah, they've only given up, I think, about 19 points a game through 2 games. Obviously, 21 and what they have in the first game, 17 for the Giants. Yeah. So you're giving up a low number in that regard, but where I have been a little concerned, and this is what I wrote about last week, is you have seen an uptick in the explosive plays, and you can even chart that back into last season as well, going back to that Saints game where they kind of, I don't want to say they peaked, but for last season that was absolutely their best performance. But you have seen an uptick in giving up explosive plays, the run defense in particular. Now, it didn't matter this week because the Redskins can't run on anybody. Week 1, they had about 40 rushing yards. This week they had about 50. Like they're not running on anybody in Washington right now. So it didn't really have a chance to hurt us in that regard. But we saw week 1, granted Saquon's a monster, 11 touches for like 120 yards there. So there are things to improve on. Thankfully, they are getting a little bit of help now with Robert Quinn coming back off of suspension. He'll go head-to-head with his former team immediately in the Dolphins. And yeah, with the Dolphins losing 2 games already this year by like a combined 47,632.5 points, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter in this regard. Like I think they're going to be pretty good.
We need to stomp them, DDP. I don't want no game. I'm trying to tell you right now. You seen what them Ravens did. You seen what them Pats did. I don't want no game where we getting them garbage touchdowns and they getting 20 points out of garbage. No. This needs to be a game where we kill these dudes. This needs to be – we haven't had a breakout game on the defensive line, correct? We only had 1 sack per game. And yes. Tyrone Crawford got the other sack. Lord have mercy. But anyway, we need to have like a 5-sack game. Need to have at least 2 turnovers. Fitzpatrick, if he starts the game, we know he gives up the ball. We know he throws interceptions. He threw 3 in this last game, 2 return for touchdowns. Yep. Don't let Fitzpatrick have that game where he's throwing 300 yards against us. You feel me? This needs to be a game where we kill these dudes. If we're trying to still continue to people to respect us, we have to continue to destroy and put the hammer on these weak squads. And I don't want Miami to have them feeling no kind of thoughts of nothing. It needs to be like a 35-3 game. I give them 3, but you better not score more than that.
Yeah, I want no hope and no joy in that stadium. I want them to be just as depressed after this game as they were after these 2 games. I mean, this team does have to show us a little bit more here. I mean, we've already kind of said it. The offense has been carrying this team here, and that's great. But it is time for the defense to step it up. And I do think, again, I know a prospect, you hit on it a little bit. I am excited for Robert Quinn, and it was one of those things that didn't really hit me until after the Redskins game where I was like, Again, Robert Quinn obviously plays outside. But the fact is that we can use Crawford a little bit differently. And it didn't really occur to me until Antoine Woods got hurt. And then we were using Crawford basically inside the whole game. Again, part of it, too, is when we use Crawford because, again.
And Kerry Hyder and Joe Jackson. So these guys
Covington.
Supplement the interior.
So
Christian Covington, right.
I do think that's going to not open things up, but open things up because by having Quinn in and locking things down there, it allows us to use the right guys on the interior depending on the matchups we're seeing. And hopefully Antoine Woods is healthy and good to go. So we have another guy in there to help out. But to me, the defensive line has to do something here. We can't keep allowing teams with bad offensive lines or subpar offensive lines to allow their quarterback 3-4 seconds to throw. Like, I know we're still getting pressure, but we have to start seeing some actual production here. And honestly, again, not just from these front guys, team. But we were getting a little more creative. Sometimes we had Jalen Smith coming in or even Anthony. But I'm just saying, like, it doesn't necessarily have to be Tank getting these sacks or Crawford. Well, there's ways to do it, but we haven't seen it quite yet.
That last sack, the last sack.
I know the Crawford sack.
I was saying the Crawford sack was a scheme sack more than anything. I mean, it was just the way it was like a double stunt.
Stunt. That's how Crawford only gets his sacks. He can only get a sack on a stunt.
But why did he get his sack? It got because of the great execution. But the Tank took on 3 guys, and that's the thing that he needs more help. Hence Quinn, and I think Quinn comes in here. He's got to knock maybe a little rust off too. Like Fiance was saying earlier. Coming back after no camp for some of these guys, whether it's Byron Jones or Tyrone Crawford, he's still working some of the rust off, but. Same thing's there. Let's see what happens with Quinn. I think that Quinn can be, can still. They want him playing on first down. I believe he would be more of a second or third, passing kind of rusher. But I think Marinelli wants to kind of use him on some of the run plays. At least that's what he said, some weeks back. I think this would be a perfect time to be able to play around, do some stuff like this, and see how Quinn can get back here and knock off all that rust in one game, and then provide something different. Give a little more rotation to the interior guys that might need help this week. We know we got maybe Antoine Woods. You got Malik Collins, and you got behind him, Tristan Hill is going to have to play up now. He's not going to be on the inactive this week, so he's going to have to be out there and he's going to be playing. So you're going to have Tristan Hill in there. You're going to, and then if you need help, you got Christian Covington as well. I think he's done average. I don't think he's balled out, but he's doing his job. What I think is going to be key, Tristan Hill, and then you're going to have to see if you need supplement. You need other guys because Antoine Woods is not back all the way or something like that. That's what you have to bring in. Yes, a little Crawford, a little, Kerry Hyder or Joe Jackson if he's up there, on the active list. Kerry Hyder can play inside as well. So I think you're going to have him playing there a little bit as well. But I'm just trying to think of how, is this really something new when it comes to Antoine Woods? Because to me, he's not the 100% end all answer.
Right.
I think, we still can have a good upgrade there. But yeah, as far as the linebackers, everybody seems to be a little bit slow starting at times on this defense. We need to get those turnovers. I think this is the week you got to get them against the Dolphins. You got to show here, whether they like it or not. You had your chances. You almost had 2 pick sixes, whether it's Xavier Woods or Jeff Heath. You had 2 pick sixes there, squandered in this game. So I think you got to make this happen in this game. And now Minkah Fitzpatrick is with the Steelers now.
Yep.
They were blowing out 100-plus points and over 1,000 yards in 2 games. That should not be stopping this week. We get blown out.
It definitely should be stopping. It needs to be happening. But as you said before, when you look at this Woods injury,
day to day.
I don't think it's a huge thing because I personally think Covington adds a little bit more in the middle than Woods. I think he's a bigger player. He is a bigger player. He's about 6'2.5". He's about 315 pounds. I think he offers more because when you double team Woods, I've seen the games where he gets moved out the way. He's not super stout guy, and you can get offensive guys that can lean on him, move him out the way. Now, I'm not diminishing Woods or anything like that, but I feel like he played out of his mind kind of last year, and I think he's an average player. And I think Covington did his job as far as stuff in the middle, even when Woods out, because like I said, you didn't see Adrian Peterson. I know he's not the young Adrian Peterson, but the Cowboys stayed firm in their gap control. That was their problem. They were not staying gap disciplined, and they were getting gashed last year by Peterson. But Peterson got shut down, and that was a good thing. When we shut down the run, we were forcing them into passing. Just like you said, I like to see those sacks because we were getting close. We were getting pressure. We were getting close. They were releasing that ball. Case Keenum was releasing that ball fairly quick, so we weren't really able to get the pressure we want. But as you said, Miami game is the game that we really need to solidify it. And Marinelli has said that he really thinks Robert Quinn is a better run defender than given credit for, kind of like D-Law. Because when D-Law had them sacks the last 2 seasons, everybody was talking about how great he was getting the sacks. But it was his run defense that was really setting him apart from everybody else that was rushing the quarterback. And that's what Ron Marinelli said about Quinn. So I'm interested to see how they're going to use him. Are they going to bring him along slowly, have him come in on third downs as a pass rusher, or will they put him on them run downs and, moving in and out? But guys still need to step up. Dorrance Armstrong Jr., haven't really heard about you. Had a really good camp. I thought you was going to kind of take that next leap. It's still early, but I need to see some more from Dorrance Armstrong Jr. So guys really need to step up because the meat of the schedule is about to come. I mean, you know what I mean? We got the Packers, we got the Saints, the Eagles around the corner. So those games are going to get hot and heavy, and we're going to need good defensive performances against these better type quarterbacks that we're going to be dealing with later on.
Yeah, and Prospect, you mentioned something about the run game. I know that, they only had about 40 and 50 yards respectively, but because of the actual score of the game, if you actually look at the timing of it, up until the end of the third quarter, it's not like the Redskins abandoned the run that early either. So, they still had
Christian Covington kind of, is a space eater and is a guy that can definitely slow down running backs in there. Yeah, Antoine Woods seems to be a little quicker and can get down the field and track down plays. So he's a little bigger and quicker. I mean, a little smaller and quicker.
Yeah. I mean, they were able to hold Adrian Peterson to 10 carries for like 25 yards. And other than, I think his longest run of the day was 10 yards. Like, he really didn't kill you. And Washington, they were able to jump up in week 1 like 17 points on Philly before kind of giving it back. So in that they didn't keep any kind of running game going once it got to the second half, and Philly started to come on a little bit. But I just don't think Washington's a great running team right now, and the fact that they lost Geis and they have to rely on a 34-year-old Adrian Peterson, as great as he is. I mean, he's a unicorn just being able to be effective at all as a running back at 34. But I still think that there's a lot to be desired for the run defense for the Cowboys, and that's why I still kind of tap the brakes a little bit on assuming that they figured everything out. They certainly took steps in the right direction, but if you're going against a team with a better offensive line or running back setup, I think there would have been a little bit more difficulty there for sure. But it is what it is. Pivoting real quick, we were talking earlier about Antoine Woods. He's, I think, day-to-day is what we heard after his MRI today. Michael Gallup, not as fortunate. It looks like he's going to be out for at least 2 weeks, maybe as long as 4 weeks, having his meniscus worked on. They're kind of trimming that from the mild tear. You said earlier that happened on the 3rd and goal play from the 15-yard line, that fourth drive that kind of blew up on us.
Yep, we went backwards and settled for the field goal. Yep.
Yeah.
After that, Devin Smith came in the rest of the game. Yep.
Yeah.
And Devin Smith looked good. I mean, wasn't he our leading receiver? He had like 4 catches for like 78 yards. So
and he had 2 catches on that last drive, and he came in very, very
2 big catches.
Showed us what he can do in Gallup's place.
And here's the thing about Devin Smith. We're talking about like a 4th or 5th receiver, and he's not like he's a free, was an undrafted player. He was a 2nd-round pick. The only thing that's really hurt him was his injuries. So now it looks like he's finally back healthy, and now we're about to finally be able to see what Devin Smith can do. I got to see him at Ohio State. I'm out here in Columbus, Ohio, so I got to see a lot of Devin Smith. I was excited. I thought he was going to do some things in the league because of that speed, had pretty good hands. Like I said, he reminds me of not like Terry Glenn, but just the body structure, the hands. Even on that deep route, it looked like a Terry Glenn. Rest in peace, because I used to kick it with Terry Glenn. R.I.P. He was out here in Columbus, out here too. He grew up out here, so I got to see a lot of him. He just really reminds me of him. I like his game, and you hate to see a Gallup go out. You hate to see that, but it does make you feel better when you see a Devin Smith come in who has actually been in the league for a little bit. It's not like he's a rookie,
right.
And now you're getting to see what he can do. And like I said, there was huge on the deep route, but he was showing that he can do the intermediate things too. And that's what I really like about Devin Smith. He's not just going to be a deep threat for us. I feel like he can add other elements. And then you bring in a Cedric Wilson, who, like I said, I like Cedric Wilson. He showed up in the preseason, wasn't like phenomenal, but he did play in the slot, and he's a very big receiver. And I feel like he can catch those passes over the middle. And I think we can maintain with those 2 guys while Gallup is out. So it could be a blessing in disguise, more rep from those guys to get experience. So when we go down the line later in the season, those guys aren't the starstruck guys, and they can come right in and flow with the offense and not feel like there was any rust in there.
And that's obviously huge because, I mean, like we said, this game shouldn't be anywhere near close against the Dolphins. They are a god-awful team trying to get the number 1 overall pick. And
Lord
now,
have mercy.
With Drew Brees out for 6 weeks, the Saints game in New Orleans doesn't seem as difficult. Like, they still got Teddy Bridgewater. They're still a good team.
They in New Orleans, though. They're going to be playing. They hate Dallas. They're going to play out of their mind. You can believe that.
I know they will, but I'm less intimidated by them led by Teddy Bridgewater than I am.
I ain't intimidated by no daggone Saints.
Yeah. So that game looks doable to me right now at this point. Whereas if you had asked me a week ago, I would have told you that might be one that they get us. I mean, we can play them tough, but being in New Orleans felt like a difference maker, especially after how we put a whooping on them defensively last year. So, I mean, this team has a chance to start really, really hot. Like, we're talking about you start almost with like an extended preseason with 3 additional weeks, getting to get divisional wins against a bad Giants team, Redskins team, god-awful Dolphins team, and then catching New Orleans now for your first real game here at a moment where they're not going to have their future Hall of Fame quarterback. It sets up very well for this team if they can do that, but you gotta play it. Jason Garrett always says this. You always got to treat it like a snap at a time, a game at a time, day by day, that whole thing. Like, don't ever get too far ahead of yourself on that. I guess that's what we do with speculating, but I'm intrigued to see what this team can do, and I want to see if this team can show the growth of not playing down to their level of competition, not ever looking past a particular opponent, but kind of keeping a level head. We've seen that with Cowboy teams in the past where they can kind of lose a little bit of focus. Particularly, we saw that a lot in those 8-8 years.
Heck yeah, and you know what? The biggest thing to me is also, I just really feel like we just have a chance now with our quarterback. I'm not saying we never had a chance before, but it just makes you feel good that, like I said, I ain't scared of the Saints or I ain't worried about the Packers because I feel like our quarterback can bang with you. And when you have that, it just makes you feel better about the season. You know what I mean? When you look at our schedule, I said we were 12-4. I'm really feeling good. Not just because I'm frosty about these games, but just like I said, the quarterback play. That's what we've been, all the Cowboys fans, that's what we've been waiting for. Let's not lie about it. We knew we had Ezekiel Elliott. We knew we had the offensive line. We knew they were going to continue drafting. We were all waiting for Dak Prescott to take that next step because we knew once he took that next step, our team was going to be like these other teams, like the Patriots. And guess what? It's showing right now that Dak is taking those steps. And I really don't feel like this is one of those anomalies like he's going to all of a sudden regress after these 2 games and he's just going to fall off. No, this is real. This is not fake. And this is the Dak Prescott that's going. Here's the thing. he's going to get even better, y'all. He's the type of dude that's going to get even better. So everybody should be really getting excited right now, especially with the tutelage that he has, because Cowboys fans, boy, we're going to be stomping some teams for a few years because we got a good stable of players and they're young.
Yeah. And to kind of bounce off of that, I mean, I said this as well, I think on Big Game James' channel, that we're the team that I think teams are going to be scared of this year. Like, we have to instill that into teams.
We're the ones that have to set the standard of,
yes.
oh, man, Cowboys are putting up 30-plus points.
And
look at that defense, not even allowing 20 points.
Not just the whole, this is America's team, we want to beat them because it's our Super Bowl and we're the Cleveland Browns. It's because you are saying, hey, this is a tough team and they're scaring us. And that's what I want teams to kind of have the opinion towards our offense, towards our defense. And like Big Game James said, Dak Prescott, and I said it earlier, his ability to read and do so good in Kellen Moore's offense is what makes this thing click. It's what makes it go. And I think, when you talked about Zeke, I think, we all of us forget about Zeke in a way because of how great Dak is doing.
Yes.
But you know what's great? We're not really using Zeke that much.
Exactly. Just like how Dak still is going to keep getting better. Like, we haven't even reached our maximum potential.
We're using Zeke. Exactly. Using Zeke. Listen, the play action. Look at those touchdowns. That the defense. Yes. I know there's a lot of other factors involved in that, but that was play action.
Yep.
That was play action to Ezekiel Elliott. And I'm just saying, my point is that Zeke made those linebackers hold it just a little extra second. Mm-hmm. You look at some of the plays that Dak does, even though they're running it to, faking the run to Zeke or running to Zeke, you don't really know because 91 Kerrigan yesterday, 3 or 4 plays, he had to hold an extra second or two, or about half second or so. And that was enough for Zeke to get the first time. That was enough for Dak to get down the field and go 42 yards, whatever it may be. I know it was a Bostic that overran it almost. He caught it. Tyron Smith had him knocked down while Dak just took it all the way. And you go back to the play before that big 42-yard run by Dak, where the last 3rd and 1, we decided to throw. And even though, it was a missed block by Connor Williams and all these things, have to be cleaned up. I think Connor Williams had a kind of a bad game comparatively to the offensive line. But, all in all, I love the way that Dak is able to handle this offense. When it breaks down to the few times, he's able to get out of the sack, and make something happen. He feels freer, like you said earlier. And just the fact that he's able to read defenses using Kellen Moore's offensive schemes and taking that to weekly, consistently. That's why I'm very confident as well. I'm very confident in his offense. I'm
mastermind that can scheme our quarterback in the best position. They just don't have as much of the quarterback talent to back it up. And Dak is out here showing us, what do you do when you have not just a good quarterback, a great quarterback that's getting better with all these other pieces. And again, an offensive coordinator that is scheming your team in the best position.
And he's learning from.
You're not set up to fail that
Dak
way.
learned from the war situation with Scott Linehan in there and being his back against the wall, playing not to his strengths, but to his weaknesses. Sometimes when it came to stubborn Linehan. So
that made him better.
Exactly. That's why he is even better. He would probably not be as good as he is if he didn't have those hardships with Scott Linehan. So,
and a lot of credit as well to John Kitna, who's really helped it's not like Dak was super off. He cleaned up a lot of little things that we're seeing a lot of the finesse.
Strength.
And just that little kick leg, Dak's legs are staying where they're supposed to stay. We're seeing a lot of the progression.
It's not just because we're winning, it's because we're confident what we're seeing consistently in our offensive games and schemes and with Dak Prescott on this offense.
I get why we always have to take it week to week, day to day, but that is why it's so exciting and why we are looking at Super Bowl, because when you keep your eye on the prize and you look at what you have and you do take it day by day, we know we have
the whole league is looking at us too. Super Bowl, they're scared.
Let me tell you something. Here's another big difference. First of all, shout out to Scott Linehan for bringing Kellen Moore. Much as we hate you, dog, we do thank you for bringing over Kellen Moore. We definitely appreciate you for that. Now, here's a couple things to me. When we saw Dak Prescott working with Scott Linehan, do you think Scott Linehan was ever working with Dak Prescott in the offseason? You think he was calling Dak Prescott and talking, come on, Dak, let's go work out today. Let's go do this. What do you think about this? You think Scott Linehan was doing that? Hell to the no. I don't think Scott Linehan was even talking to Dak until the season was starting. That's what I think. But John Kitna, I think he's a different monster. Know why he's a different monster? Because he coached high school football. And he had he took a team that was I think it was 1-11. He made that team 8-3 the next year, and then they won the playoffs the next 3 consecutive years. When you coach high school football, you got to have a passion to do that, okay? Because I coached Little League and right around the high school realm. You got to have a passion for that. And see, feel like Kitna has a passion, and I feel like he was getting with Dak in the offseason, talking to him, calling him. Let's do this, Dak. Let's do this. And that makes the world of difference. You seen where Dak was talking with Gallup. We was doing a lot of work in the offseason. Does it not look like they have been doing a lot of work? Yes, it looks like they've been putting in the work. And so now when you put in the work, the fruits of your labor shows. And it's showing with Dak. And all we've been waiting for somebody to get the right people around Dak to bring out his strengths. And that's what Kellen Moore is doing. He's playing to Dak Prescott's strengths. Hey, guess what? He even said in his interview, he said, what do you think about Dak's run? He said, yeah, I like to run, but yeah, we ain't gonna call it all the time now. But, when we see it here and there, we'll call it. That's what I love about Kellen Moore. He'll be sitting there thinking, you know what? I see it right here. Let's go ahead and go with it. That's what they love about him. Ezekiel Elliott, when Michael Irvin said, I'm suspect on this Kellen Moore, Ezekiel Elliott was one of the first people to come up to him and say, hey, man, give this guy a chance. You know why? He listens.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And it's obviously made a huge impact on this team. Dak finally looks like the quarterback that we hoped he could end up being. We saw the intangibles. We wanted to see more consistency in the passing and more ability in that regard. And we've gotten a lot of that already through 2 weeks. I mean, anyone not named Mahomes or Ravens quarterback, Lamar Jackson, pretty much those are the only two guys playing on Dak's level right now. It's not
He's
Jared
averaging
Goff
10
on his
yards,
footing.
almost 11 yards of pass play right now. That's phenomenal. Dink and dunk Dak. Hey, Eastside Harold, you in here right now. You always saying dink and dunk Dak. Hey, tell me about Dink and Dunk Dak. And I don't want to hear you, Eastside Harold, talking about, it was the Giants or the Redskins. That's a cop-out, because when I hear you fans doing that with your team, you don't be saying, that was the Bills. No, you be geeked about your victory. So I don't want to hear that. Division games are different. No matter what you say, we didn't play the Niners, or we didn't play the Jets. We played the Redskins and the Giants, which are division games, and division games are huge. The first thing you always need to do when you start your season is what? Win your division, and that's what we did. So why are you mad at that? Hey yo, hey ho! Watch that Dak Prescott. He about to throw another 300 on y'all.
Yeah, James said it earlier. Dak's completing 82% of his passes to this stage. I think he has more touchdowns than he has incomplete passes at this point. Let me think. What was he week 1? He was something like, he's probably got a couple more incompletions.
Missed 4 last week, and yeah.
He had at least 4 this game.
I think he has like 9 total incompletions.
Yeah, okay, so 9 incompletions, 7 touchdowns. We'll take it. We'll keep that ratio. But, it's insane what he's been able to do in this regard. What I liked in this past game was, you had the 42-yard play where he ends up kind of trucking over Josh Norman, which what I love about that is not only do you get that beautiful snapshot from it, but it almost looks like, in addition to like trying to point out the block for Gallup, it's almost like Dak slowed down.
He did slow down.
So he could.
He did.
He's like, Josh Norman. Yeah, I remember what you said.
Here,
come here real quick. Come here. Because like if he had broke right, he might, or just keep the burners on. He might just walk into the end zone untouched. It's like he went out of his way to make a point.
He slowed down exactly for him.
You kind of like that swagger. I mean, obviously, if somehow that drive is self-destructed after that, everyone would be looking at him like, what was that about? That wasn't worth it. But, it is what it is. You got supreme confidence in your team and in your ability after how you scored last week and then how you were starting to score in that game. I get it. I mean, at that point, once you click into that mode, you just run wild with it.
I'll be the first one during that game. You can see the reaction because we do our reactions all the time, for the last 2+ years. And I was not happy with that because I'm thinking about if that thing did not end up being 7 points, those are 4 points on Dak Prescott. And what I'm trying to say is I like the swagger now. I love it. It adds to it. It adds to the legend of Dak. But let's think football now, right? He would have slowed down for a second and used that block. Went to the outside is a touchdown. Easy touchdown. No question. No doubt. But we got the touchdown.
And we get that. But honestly, we want to talk football. It's not just about the game, though, because at the end of the day, you are sending a message to the league. This guy talks so much crap. He talks so much crap.
Don't let him get space in your head.
It's not about putting space in your head. It's about what others are seeing as well. And this sends a message to all 31 teams. What does Dak have for you? This. And not just this, But this is going to score on you. That's the point. We didn't need Dak to do that because this team can score and Dak can do whatever he wants. It is proving a point and it is setting a standard. The Dallas Cowboys are the team to watch, not just in the NFC, for sure, in the league.
I hear you.
And it starts with Dak's arm.
100%.
It does. The throwing arm.
Hey, well, with me, I'm all with that. I was all for it. I love how he came out the backfield and looked right. He was running and he looked over to the left side. Oh, there you are, Josh. There you. Let me. You know what? I could run this, but I'm gonna slow it down and I'm just gonna put my hand in your face and I'm just gonna push you down on the ground. And then when I get up, you ain't see when he got up and he smacked Gallows' hand and said, "Yeah," right in Norman's face. And Norman just walked right away. Norman didn't say one thing. He said, "Yeah, that's right. You know why I'm gonna do that? Because I'm so confident we're gonna score a touchdown on y'all. I can slow up and you can tackle me if you want. We still gonna score on y'all because you can't stop us." I like that mentality. Let's go, Cowboys. And Eastside Herald, stop them lies talking about we got a bogus-ass schedule because look at them Texans. Don't you say nothing about them guys.
Also, no one ever complains about the Patriots getting all those easy wins all those years. Having
and
the
they
same
play
division
the
as Miami
bummiest,
and Buffalo.
Oh, my God. That's the worst cupcake schedule. You got 8 games that's already 8 wins.
That's a dynasty
Before you
built
start
on
your
a
season,
weak
that's 8 wins.
or a weak division.
6 games, 2 of them this year being the Dolphins.
Exactly. Yep. So you good.
I want you know what? 2 extra bye weeks.
Cowboys Chiefs Super Bowl. Cowboys Chiefs Super Bowl. I like that Super Bowl. That'd be a good.
That'd be exciting to see, but I'm not going to get that far down the road yet. Right now,
I'm not saying that, but I'm still in my head. I'm going to say it. In my head, I'm going to say it.
Fair
I'm
enough.
Speaking into existence.
I would love to beat the Patriots and take the torch away. Just take it away from them.
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I want to beat them. I'd rather see them like in a Super Bowl type setting. I don't know. Now I wasn't like real geeked to beat the Patriots, but now that Dak's playing good, I want Dak to bang against Brady. You get what I'm saying? I want Dak to get that 300-something game on Brady, and they be like,
on one condition. It all depends on how we play them, because again, it was kind of my concern with the Eagles in the sense of we play them twice, and if they do well enough and we see them in the playoffs, can we beat the Eagles 3 times? That's tough. But again, with the Patriots, can we beat them twice?
No, you don't want to give
we can beat them twice.
Yeah, I think we can.
I think
you don't want Belichick to be able to scheme after he's seen your team. Wait, what?
Hey, if you hypothetically get to a Super Bowl with the Patriots, you know you're going to win anyway because Belichick can't beat the NFC East in Super Bowls. He's 0-3.
There it is.
You're right. We're just gonna how great would it be to put the cherry on top of the only people who could really give it to Tom Brady would be the NFC East.
Yep.
That'd be a beautiful thing. I love that. And I would like nothing better than that. Man, how about them Cowboys?
For sure. So before we wrap up this stream, I know this is a condensed one. It was a really late start just because of some technical issues getting the stream set up and dealing with a computer crash. But are there any thoughts you guys have real quick, my Cowboys family, on just kind of, I know we've been talking about it, but just kind of general feeling on the team moving forward, and then just kind of plug where everyone can find your stuff?
Yeah, man. Hey, first and foremost, man, thank you so much, Dallas Prospect and Big Game James. All you guys, I'm glad. We're honored to be on here with you guys talking Cowboy football, the thing we love over everything.
And
right?
not just talking Cowboy football, like officially on video, and following up all the Cowboy football we already talked, and we got to meet at the experience and hang out. So thank you so much to you, Prospect, and you too, Big Game James.
Yes, and yes, as far as the Cowboys, listen, I'm excited about this team. It's not one of those excitements that you get from like, oh, we beat a team. It's not like that.
We're not faking the funk.
Yeah, this is a bigger. I'm a very pessimistic person. I'm a very negative person. And I'm like, yeah, all right, but we got this problem. We got that problem. I don't see many problems. I'm gonna be real. So I feel, and I see a lot of great things on this field already that are hard for even the best minds, I think, to stop out there, to stop us consistently throughout a game from start to finish with this offense. And the defense, I believe, is just be getting better. We talked about that. So I feel really good about this team. This is a game we have to win against the Dolphins. We got to win it from the beginning. Halftime, it got to be over by then. And I want to make sure it's like we can just look. I don't want to take it easy either, but I just want to make sure this is to everybody in the NFL saying, hey, we're up there. we're one of the tops, if not the top team in the NFL. I feel really good about where we're going, with or without Breeze after that. I know he's not playing. But my point is that I didn't care. I think we could handle the Saints, and I think we are the team teams have to be afraid of for 2019 and beyond. So, baby, I don't know if you have any.
I mean, honestly, again, the future is bright for this Dallas team. All the problems we have are not season ending. They barely, honestly, slow us down because we have ways to scheme around them.
And
so
depth.
the fact that this team's trajectory is only going up, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Again, I don't want to be the person to say Super Bowl, but this team is absolutely taking all the right moves and doing all the right things to find success, to keep this going, to get ourselves in a position where we can win. So honestly, just excited to see what these young guys have and the ways that we're going to be able to clean up all the little things we need to clean up.
Yeah, guys.
So, and also you heard it here first, Kellen Moore, guys, Kellen Moore takeover. Kellen Moore is taking over this team. I'm telling you.
Hey, I think we know it. Guys, thank you for having us on. And you can find us on MCF, My Cowboys Family on YouTube. We also have, Go Cowboys, baby. That's star over everything. Let's beat the Dolphins and beyond. Let's get to number 6, baby. I'm ready.
I love it. I like it.
I know I love it. I don't like that. I love it. How you love that? You know what I'm saying? Hey, my last thoughts on this is, like I said, I'm not trying to jump out there with Super Bowl because I've been one of the biggest Garrett bashers ever. Not really ever, but I just really suspect on him. Like it's been too long, dog. You done had a winning. You only had one losing season. You got 3 divisional titles. It's not been that bad with you, but you got to get over that hump in the playoffs. And, we were talking off air, my Cowboys fan. We were just saying that, you know what? This might be the year where Garrett's a little loose. Like, he's not that tight. And he got a young guy with him and a guy that he can kind of maybe mold. And I'm not saying it feels right, but it just feels strong this year. And like you said, I'm very, very pessimistic about these Cowboys because I've been given too much hope and been let down for too many years. Too many years I get geeked up and then next same old daggone thing. And I say, you know what? I'm done with that. I'm just going to be pessimistic all year, and if we win, I'm just be happy. But I'm going to say, yeah, but I'm thinking this. But, man, I'm telling you, the Cowboys been building this since like 2010 when they started with Tyron Smith. I mean, when they started building that offensive line and they started coming with it felt like they started coming with a plan. You know what I mean? And it felt like we were waiting for the Cowboys to have a plan. And it felt like they started getting a plan with the offensive line, building through the line and getting the special players that are attacking on the defense. And I feel like now this is the year where it's kind of maybe coming together. And I feel like this defense is going to get better. It's going to continue to grow. It's going to continue to get better. Because, like I said, you ain't going to call yourself Hot Boys in the Purse Squad, and you ain't getting no daggone sacks, and you ain't getting no interceptions. So if y'all saying that daggone name, y'all got to live up to it. You know what I mean? So that's why I feel like they will step up because y'all calling that name, and y'all got to live up to it. But at the end of the day, y'all, it's Dak Prescott, y'all. I don't care what anybody tells me. I'm just so happy for Dak. I wanted to continue to roll, and I'm just for joy because so many people have dogged him, especially our fan base, and it's been ridiculous. It's been disgusting to me. Actually, it's been very disgusting to me because you have a winning quarterback who's done things the right way, has stayed out of trouble, played the good role, even with Scott Linehan. Probably wasn't the best system for him, but did you ever hear him complain? He stayed being the leader. He stayed being true. And look what's happening, man. So I'm just happy for Dak Prescott, and I just hope he continues to shine because he deserves this. He's done everything the right way, and now we're seeing the fruits of it. And I think he can take us to a championship. When they drafted him, you saw what he did in high school. You saw what he did at Mississippi State. He brought these teams from nothing. So if he brought them teams from nothing, what do you think he's going to do with some talent? And he got good coaching around him. Watch what's going to happen, y'all. Watch what's going to happen. And just like y'all said, this ain't just this year. We're built for years to come. And that's the exciting thing. We ain't 30-year-old team, 35-year-old. We are one of the youngest teams in the league. So this ain't just the first year. It's going to continue to get better and better. And if you're a Cowboys fan, a deep one, you should be excited about our future.
Yeah.
Oh, and if you want to check me out, just to say, I forgot about that part. Hey, if you want to check me out, Big Game James, Silver Blue Nation, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We be on Instagram, but I don't be on Instagram. G said, man, you need to start doing Instagram videos. So I probably might start doing them videos too. But Check us out on YouTube, Facebook. We have a good time. I like having guests. We just have fun. My Cowboys family, DDP, Law Nation, everybody, we just kicking and have fun because guess what? It's a fun time right now. How about them Cowboys? We ain't got no major injuries. It sucks with Gallup, but the good thing about it, Cowboys got depth. What do we always scream about? We lose a player and we felt like the world was over. How many times have we felt like that, Cowboys fan? Or a major player gets hurt or a big-time player, season over. Now you don't feel that, and that's a really good thing when you got a dog like Gallup sitting out and you can slide a Devin Smith right on in there. That feels real good.
Yeah, I mean, it's night and day where they're sitting, so it'll be interesting to see how this team does dealing with those injuries. I think Devin Smith is a very good replacement for now to hold the thing down while we wait for Michael Gallup to return. I hope Gallup hits his stride when he gets back because he really had a great camp and was breaking out for us in a big way. Was leading the team, or I guess still technically is leading the team in receptions. So best of luck to him, but we will run this back another time as well. We'll run one of these back next week as well, earlier in the evening a little bit if we can, our normal time if we can. But thanks again for everyone for joining me. And until next time, guys, remember, every legend was once a prospect. Salute.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah. Siege. Riley. Taz. Yeah. Set me free and give me death, there ain't no other choices. When I lay down to go to sleep, I keep on hearing voices. Little whispers in my head, man, is you fake a lawyer? Why no water, that designer, baby, pick your poison. These little demons living underneath my bed, creeping. Know the real monster lives above them all, sleeping. That subtle breathing in your closet every